What's up everybody, welcome back to another edition of Zero Mile ADV, a true beginner's guide to adventure motorcycling from a true beginner. Today we're talking about a beginner's guide to building an apparel brand. I haven't done one of these videos in a while. They didn't get a lot of traction, so it didn't seem like there's a lot of interest, but for the few people that have been interested and have been following the Zero Mile journey for the last year, I just want to give you the 5 hard truths I've learned as I'm about to go live. As you can see, we are close. Really close. I know I keep saying that, but we are really close. As you can see here, we have most of our apparel here. We're still waiting on a couple of shipments that got held up in customs, just delayed in customs, I guess, for some reason, but they're hopefully on their way. So everything should be live soon. Hopefully by the time this video goes out, actually, the website will be live. So if you're interested in checking out the apparel that I've been working really hard to build, go to zeromileadv.com. You can download our free BDR packing checklist because it's at that time of year where some of the BDRs are going to be really good. So if you're thinking about doing New Mexico or Arizona or South Dakota, September is going to be an amazing month to do that. Not quite in September yet, so go check that out. So let's get into today's video. But first note, my troll catching skills have failed us. I have let you guys down. No snarky comment of the week. Actually, everybody's been a little quiet this week. There hasn't been a lot of engagement, if I'm honest. So things have been a little comment, not even any mean comments. So no snarky comment of the week. I will work on my troll traps and see if I can come up with some more things. We're going to be talking about some things today that might actually catch us a few trolls. So a few hard truths that might ruffle some feathers. So hopefully we'll catch a few trolls after today's episode. So if you're not familiar and this is your first time watching the channel, I, about a year ago, decided, hey, you know what? I want motorcycle riding apparel that is comfortable, that I would basically want to wear every day and not look like I just came off the racetrack. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of my favorite brands, if I'm going to be doing big touring like Climb or Moscow Moto, they make really great stuff. But it looks like you're coming off the ski hill. And actually learning about the history of Climb, it totally makes sense because he actually started by selling ski jackets, and that's where everything came from. So that whole look and feel totally makes sense, but you're riding motorcycles. And so I set out to say, hey, could I make some apparel that actually like I would wear after I got off the bike? Or if I went into a coffee shop, people wouldn't know because I got a GS, so you gotta ride that thing to the coffee shop. You can't not do that, right? So if I show up, you know, could I create a brand? And so I started, and I just went for it, and I just started seeing what I could make and if I could create some samples. And a year later, I actually have some inventory. I have a website. It's not quite live yet, but it has been a long journey. So if you're interested in starting an apparel company, because there's been a few people who have commented that they're trying to do things on their own as well. If you're interested in starting a brand, or if you are just curious about the apparel industry, because I knew nothing about it going into this. This has been an entire learning experience. This episode's free. Hard truth number 1. And we're just going to get the stuff that's going to really ruffle some feathers straight out the gate. So get ready to leave those comments below because I think it's going to make a lot of you mad, but it's true. Made in America doesn't always necessarily mean better quality. So what do I mean by that? Now, I can't say that that's a blanket statement for every industry and everything. There are a lot of amazing American craftsmen creating some really cool things and some really high quality products. For example, the Amish make beautiful furniture, and they're located, across the Midwest, and they make amazing things. And actually, I love their furniture. I think it's really amazing, and I have bought some. So this is not a blanket statement about everything. It just comes when it comes to textiles and the clothing manufacturing. I know that there is a big push in the current political structure that says, hey, we have to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., and I think there are a couple problems with that. One, we just don't have everything that you need. When you start looking to build a brand, there are so many small moving pieces that all go into creating one piece of apparel that you see on the showroom floor or that shows up in the mail when you order it. And we just don't have that infrastructure here. And so no matter how hard you try, you may be able to find, for example, I found some people that could create denim, but it was going to be 3 times the price, the quality wasn't as good, and we still had to import the denim from somewhere else, and they weren't really doing slide protection denim. Now, I know there are some companies like there's a motorcycle apparel company that's kind of more in the street game. I think it's called Tobacco Motorwear. They make some really nice denim, and I actually ponied up $350 or whatever it costs to buy their jeans. Now, having used them, and now actually, I mean, I am a bit biased, obviously, but we are achieving the same level of protection in a single layer denim pant without the Kevlar, which means it's not as hot. We do have a Kevlar version if you want even extra protection, but in our pant we have extra protection, we have better movement, a better belt, better quality, actually made it the same kind of ancillary factors as a lot of the same big name brand denim companies, and at a third of the cost. So these will be, I think, retail will be about $130, $135, I think is what it's about to break into. That is $220 cheaper than the Tobacco Motorwear Company jeans that are made in America. And they're nice, but I just feel like we've created a better product, more features at a third of the cost. And I think that is what the American dream is all about, is being able to be competitive, make a better product for cheaper, and delivering it to your consumer. Now, I do have to say with a caveat, because somebody's going to comment below, oh, it's because you're using sweatshop or using child labor. No, not at all. And actually, the person I've kind of hired full-time to help me with this, who's on the ground, the salary I am paying him to help me build this brand out of my own pocket, I have no investors, I don't want any debt, I'm financing this thing myself. His quality of living puts him in the top 10% bracket. So like, I'm paying him well. I'm not trying to pay him child sweatshop laborers, and we are using adults. And if you've seen any of our videos, like, we're not using sweatshop labor. We are not doing anything immoral. We are actually paying people a good wage in the home country that they live in so they can make a good living and provide their family a good quality of life. And we can also make a great product at a cheaper price. And I think that's what it's all about. So I could go on and on and on and on about this whole topic, but I think the short of it is doing a lot of research, trying to make things here, because I thought, it would make my life a lot easier having things even just maybe on the East Coast where it's a quick plane ride and not a 36-hour plane ride to get to the plants. And I just couldn't find a shop that could create the products that we wanted at a better price and at better quality for what we're trying to do. Okay, item number 2, which I think you guys, if you've been following along, you are completely aware of this, is it just takes a long time. It is a bit self-inflicted because I really wanted the first run of products to really be as good as possible. So if I would have taken some shortcuts or just been okay with, for the first run, that's okay, let's not have the right size pocket, or let's not have the right color flannels, or let's not use single layer denim, whatever. If I would have been okay with certain things, we could have gone live a much sooner. And a lot of maybe venture capitalists or people who invest in companies would say that's what you should have done. You should have just gotten it to market, been okay with the mistakes or lower quality or whatever to get it to market, to start building the brand, to start turning revenue, and then made it better. But I just really wanted my first run of things. I want to be proud of them. When they show up at your house, you may find things that don't fit you or don't work or whatever, and I want that feedback. But I at least want to know that when I ship it to you, that I am actually proud of what is in that bag, and I'm excited to send it to you, and I hope you really enjoy it. And so that created a lot of delays. And then aside from that piece of the self-inflicted delays, there are so many, again, back to kind of item number 1, there are so many moving pieces, and sometimes you will hit a bottleneck at one piece. For example, on our flannels, we embroidered the logo on the chest, and we kept running into problems with the embroideries. They just weren't looking good, and so we had to find a new plant to embroider the pockets on the flannels so that they looked good and the quality was good. And then that holds up all of the sewing and production at the main facility until we can get those pockets. And so there are little things like that that hold everything up. Another thing that we found actually with our denim is that we wanted our black denim to also be single layer AA rated. However, when we took the black denim to the lab to get tests for abrasion testing, it was really close. I think it was like 10 seconds short of receiving a AA rating. But what we found is that actually the wash on the denim fabric that was the black denim fabric that was available had been washed too much, and it reduced what we call the GSM, or the thickness of the fabric, and so it made it a single A slide rating as opposed to a AA. And so what we decided in this case what we can do is we can have a double layer single outside, and in the impact areas we can include it's essentially a Kevlar, but it's not Kevlar because I don't want a license to pay DuPont to actually use Kevlar, so it's the generic version of Kevlar, which is an aramide fabric, to give us that AA slide rating, which makes them a little bit thicker, but it has all of the same functionality. Where the blue denim, because we kept it a darker wash, was able to maintain that CE AA rating test at the lab and still be single layer. So like, these are some things that, you know, created holdups because I wanted to get the product out, but we needed the lab results back before we went live. And so there's all these moving pieces, and it just takes a lot of time. And for all of you who have been following along, and then everybody that has been waiting to become a first edition member, really, like, you guys have been pushing me because I know you're waiting and you're interested in getting these products, and I'm super excited to get them to you, but I want them to be good. I want them to be right. And so I hope that you appreciate the delays, and I hope you like them. If not, we tried. We'll keep going, but I think we're doing the right thing. We're putting people first, we have a purpose, and then hopefully if we do those two things right, the money should come. Hard truth number 3 is it can be expensive. I am not like a lot of, I would say, brand or, you know, starting your own journey, hustle mentality, social media influencers. They're like, oh look, I created this supplement brand, or I'm creating these t-shirts, and now look, like, I'm driving a Ferrari and I'm doing all this. Like, I really want a Porsche 911, you know, like that's kind of the car I want. And no, do I have a 911? I don't have a Porsche. I don't have a Ferrari. And in fact, you are looking at my humble beginnings. Like, I am in a little like 10 by 10 garage here. That's where I'm starting. This is where it's come from. So there's no glitz or glam to this. There's just been a lot of hard work. It has been expensive because I just don't want debt. I could do a whole video on why I think partnerships can be tough, and why I think a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm looking for investors for my company, I think that is the wrong move. If you can figure out a way to start small and fund it yourself, that is the best way to go. That leads into item number 4, which I think is a good segue, and that is being small is tough. When you are, again, because I'm funding it myself and I don't want to take debt to build this, you have to start with small quantities, and that has been tough. Even down to like the shipping poly bags that we want to send this into the bags that the products are in, you know, like these nice printed bags that all of our products will come in. Everybody wants massive orders, and when you're small, you know, do you need 100,000 poly bags? No. You know, I've now met a lot of the manufacturing plants that are producing a lot of the apparel that you will see if you use any form of social media, the ads that you likely get if you are interested in adventure motorcycling like I am. You will see a lot of these ads, and you start to meet a lot of their manufacturers, and they will openly tell you how many products they're pushing, and a lot of them are producing anywhere from 20 to 30,000 products a month. Those are the orders that these plants want, and so being small is just not easy. A, from an order standpoint. B, from a material standpoint. That has been where we have had to kind of adapt and move, and we've had to work within product materials that are available at our manufacturer. I will give a shout out to our manufacturer, and honestly, I don't know if you're a spiritual person. If you're not, that's totally cool by me. I am. I think it was honestly by the grace of God that we met our manufacturer. He has great business values. He's also a spiritual guy, you know, and so I think whatever you believe, I'm not pushing my beliefs on you, it's just how I feel. I do feel it was like by the grace of God that they brought us together, because it was completely by accident that we found him. And They have been so good to work with, and they have been so willing to work, and we are creating new products. And so that's another thing. So I'll get to that in a second about being small. But they have been really awesome, and I'm saying like, hey, we're producing apparel for this other motorcycle brand, and we have some extras of these fabrics in these colors. Would you like to use those? That way we can keep your order small and we can keep your costs down. And their sampling department has been really awesome to help us, because we are building brand new products. I think this is one thing that is exciting about being small, is that we are pushing the envelope. So everything that we are making today, all of the motorcycle specific apparel manufacturers, we're trying to push us down the standard route of the stuff that they're already building for all the other brands. And we didn't want to do that, which makes it hard being small, because they're like, cool, we can create something brand new for you, but with your guidance, but we're going to need a 3,000 piece order. And so when you're ordering only a few hundred items total, it becomes really hard, because they're not really making a lot of money. And so it is really hard to find a good manufacturer and get all the quantities and everything you want. And so on that other side, the last thing about the tough thing of being small is when you are trying to produce a new product and you're trying to create your own blue ocean strategy. Again, another book, if you haven't read it, really great book if you're interested in doing your own thing. But pushing your own blue ocean and creating a new niche or creating a new product to bring to market is tough, again, because these brands are like, it creates, you have to have a pattern maker, you have to have a blueprint, which is called the tech pack. You have to have all these moving things to give to their basically team so they know how to make it. And it makes the sampling process a lot longer. And a lot of these companies are going to charge you for the samples, which the samples can get expensive. However, again, and I think this is just by the grace of God, we have found an amazing partner. He hasn't charged us for any of the samples. And so for more than anything, because how amazing he has been, I really hope that we have done, you guys really appreciate the products we're making, so that we can send a bigger order to him, because I really want to repay him for all of the hard work that he has done for Zero Mile and his team, all of the late hours, etc. And I really want to see them be successful. And they are a smaller plant. They are growing, they're busy, they're moving to a new facility, but I want to help him grow and I want to help him be successful, because how hard he has worked for us, basically for not a lot of return, for the amount that we invest. Okay, item number 5, I think that you have to have the long game in mind. I think with any journey, and I learned this the hard way because I had no other choice with my other business. And it was, I had to think about the long game. I would get a customer where I was making $50 a month or something from them, and I was like, oh, it's no money, is it worth it? But those things slowly add up, and then the revenue slowly adds up, and then slowly you have a business that's running and functioning and actually providing a good service, and it's providing people good jobs and all that stuff, but it doesn't happen overnight. Despite what all of the hustle mentality Instagram influencers will tell you, if you are really trying to build a lasting business that's going to work, having now done this twice, you have to have the long vision in mind. And the reason that is important is there has been many points along this journey where I'm like, maybe I just give up. I've invested a lot of money in this. It's taking forever. I feel like, paralysis by analysis. There are so many things I need to do in order to get this to work. Like, where am I going to store all this stuff? How am I going to ship it? How am I going to manage the shipping? Etc. There's all these things you'll want to give up, and a lot of times it's just, okay, nothing happens overnight. What's one problem I have to solve today? And then think about the long-term vision. Okay, long-term, yes, I hope we are making enough money to hire an amazing team here in the US. We can have a real warehouse, give people an amazing place to work. We can get the Zero Mile community together, put together some really cool events, and just hey, it's all about people, right? I just love meeting really cool people. I love doing things that are fun and give me a purpose in life. And if we do those, I think the money will come. And so for me, I've had to think about that a lot. And that is just okay, I'm stressed out about this, but forget about that for now. Think about the long-term vision. Don't lose your eyes on that. Know that it's going to take a while, but in the end, it will be worth it. So if you've made it this far, this was a long video. I hope you appreciate it. Those are the 5 hard truths I have learned about making a brand. If you are interested in starting an apparel company and I can help you in some way, leave a comment below. I'd be happy to give you any insights I can to help you as well. And with that, until next time, stay safe out there.